In recent years, social media has evolved into a central hub for sharing information and connecting with others. While it provides many benefits, there's a darker side to its widespread use: a growing apathy towards real-world suffering and crime. This apathy, or lack of feeling, is something that more people are starting to notice. Videos depicting kindness used to bring us to tears. Now they are seen as fake, staged, or scripted. Videos depicting tragedy or cruelty used to fill us with rage. Now, we scroll past it and opt for lighter contents that don't trigger our emotions as much. It is almost as if we are afraid to feel. So, what's happening? Are we losing our humanity? One of the main reasons for this emotional disconnect is the constant barrage of news and images about suffering and crime that people encounter on their social media feeds. Every day, countless posts depict various crises, from local crimes to global humanitarian disasters. At first, these posts can evoke strong emotions and a desire to help. However, over time, the sheer volume of information can lead to what psychologists call compassion fatigue. This is a kind of emotional exhaustion, where people start to feel indifferent to the problems they hear about so frequently. This condition is often observed in professions with high levels of caregiving and exposure to others' suffering, like healthcare, social work, and emergency services. This phenomenon is no longer limited to professions. It now has broader implications for society. Consider the way social media covered the refugee crises in recent years. Initially, there was a huge outpouring of support and empathy from people around the world. But as the crisis continued and images of suffering became commonplace, public interest and empathy seemed to wane. The problem hadn't become any less severe, but people's capacity to care about it seemed diminished. Social media often turns its users into distant watchers, where the screen acts as a shield between them and the real events they see. This setup can weaken the impact of these events, making them feel less urgent or important. This is similar to how distance affects people's feelings of guilt in violent scenarios. For example, soldiers who attack from afar, like with bombs or drones, often feel less guilty because they don't see their victims. This distance lets them emotionally and morally disconnect from the harm they cause. Hateful comments camouflaged as constructive criticisms flood social media, amplifying this sense of detachment. People tend to say things online that they would never say in person, emboldened by anonymity or the physical distance that the digital interface provides. This phenomenon, known as the online disinhibition effect, means that users often engage more harshly, as there is no immediate social feedback or consequences visible to them. The internet has essentially become a space where empathy is diminished and interactions are downright callous or insensitive. Similarly, when people see news of suffering or violence on social media, they view it from a safe and remote spot. This can lead to weaker emotional reactions and a sense of detachment, making it easy for users to keep scrolling without really feeling the weight of the information they come across. There's also a fascinating, though troubling, aspect of how social media influences our perception of crime. Platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook allow users to constantly share and comment on criminal incidents. This can create an illusion that crime is everywhere all the time. Ironically, while this might make us more fearful, it also desensitizes us to the individual stories of those affected. In a sense, people become statistics, and their stories are just another post to scroll past. The relationship between social media usage and empathy is not straightforward, so banning social media altogether may not be the solution. Studies have shown the effect of social media can vary significantly based on individual and cultural differences. It has both the potential to decrease empathy due to overexposure to distressing content, and the potential to increase empathy when used to foster social connections and understanding. One study found that frequent social media users reported feeling less empathetic, suggesting that heavy use could be linked to emotional desensitization. This effect was observed alongside traits like narcissism and a condition known as alexithymia, where individuals have difficulty identifying and expressing their emotions. As emotional disconnect becomes more prevalent due to overexposure to digital content, future interpersonal interactions could become significantly impacted. We may struggle more with reading emotional cues and responding appropriately in face-to-face settings. This disconnect can make conversations feel less genuine and interactions more superficial, as we may be less inclined to invest emotionally in others' experiences. Imagine a world where volunteerism and charitable contributions decline as we grow more isolated, focusing on our immediate needs and entertainment, rather than the welfare of our community or the broader world. Local governments and organizations struggle to mobilize the community for any cause, as we view most issues through a detached lens, considering them either inevitable or someone else's problem. This detachment not only stifles societal progress, but also breeds a culture where personal and collective growth is stunted. This is not hypothetical anymore. It is already happening. Conversely, social media can also serve as a tool to cultivate our empathy. A project called Humans of New York is a good example. Humans of New York is a photo blog and book series created by Brandon Stanton in 2010. It features portraits of people in New York City accompanied by interviews or quotes that tell something about their lives, thoughts, experiences, or memories. The project has expanded globally to include stories from people in over 20 countries, presenting people as agents of their own lives rather than passive victims. Empowers both the subjects of the stories and those who read them. It shifts the narrative from one of helplessness to one of resilience and agency. Each individual is seen as people with their own stories, dreams, and struggles, rather than just as victims of circumstances. This helps foster a deeper understanding and connection. This approach encourages viewers to see the subjects as complex and multifaceted, which can prevent stereotyping. This type of content has been shown to encourage positive social interactions and empathy among its audience. Next is geographical and cultural factors. Geographical and cultural factors play a role in how social media impacts empathy. Studies in the United States have shown a trend toward decreased empathy with increased social media use, while research in Europe and India has found either a positive relationship or no significant relationship between social media use and empathy. This suggests that how social media is used, whether for self-promotion or for fostering community, might influence its impact on empathy. Of course, not everyone agrees that this effect is inevitable or harmful. Some argue that social media has made people more aware of issues they wouldn't otherwise know about, potentially leading to greater action and awareness in some cases. There have been instances when social media campaigns have led to real change, such as movements for political reform or responses to natural disasters. So, what is the verdict? One has to wonder what the long-term effects of this phenomenon will be. Will we grow increasingly detached from the suffering of others? Or will we find healthier ways to use social media and retain our humanity? Only time will tell. Or in this case, actions.